Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. I'm your host Tony Coleman, and today I'm going to give you an unboxing of the cell phone Blue View 2 from Total Wireless. Now this phone is, I think there's more than one version. I think the old version had lesser specs. I had pre-ordered this phone off of Amazon, and took a few weeks for it to come available, but it did ship. I got it for about half price that it normally would sell for. I think that was a promo for the pre-order. Normally it sells for around $30. I got it for $15. I did buy two of them because I plan on using them in my Beer Money farm, but wanted to give a video on it so people could see what exactly it is and whether it would be something they'd be interested in. So it is a 4G phone. So if you want 5G, move on to a different product. It is Android 11. It's got a 5.5-inch HD plus display. They claim the battery talk time is 13 hours, standby time of 17 days. That's probably only true if you don't install any apps beyond what it came with, because that's my experience with pretty much all cell phones. It does have Wi-Fi calling capability. The internal storage is 32 gigabyte. One of the really good things about this version is that it has 3 gigabyte of RAM inside of it. I believe the old version only had 2. It's got a 13 megapixel camera for the primary, and then the front-facing selfie camera is 8 megapixel. It's only got a 2 gigahertz quad-core processor. These days, most people are getting used to having phones with octa-core. A lot of the octa-core are either 8 really slow cores, or they have the big little design where there's 4 really fast processing cores and then 4 slower ones that the phone will move applications that don't need a lot of performance to in order to save on battery. But this is only a quad-core. It does support memory cards up to 128 gigabyte. It's got Bluetooth 5.1, hearing aid compatibility. I did look in my other phone. I found that it does support the FM radio. I know more people are starting to ask me about that on phones. It does have the app in it. As soon as I powered on the phone, got it logged in on my other one, there was also a system update that was ready to install, so we will probably see that when we get into it. So first we will go ahead and open the box. So we really don't need this piece. Okay. So slide it out. Discard the other box. So on the back you get the normal Total Wireless Start Here guide that gives you the instructions on how to set up your account, refill it. It's got your serial number for the phone, the SIM card number, all that on it. Pretty standard for these. About your phone, just the features that are inside of it, and also how to get a whole support. Inside, you have the phone itself. You have the back cover. You have a removable battery, which I really like that they have removable batteries. Makes it really easy to replace in the event that the battery bloats or stops holding a charge. A lot of your top of the line phones you can't do that with, and it becomes a pain in the rear for fixing it or doing maintenance. You have your Total Wireless terms and conditions, the quick start guide, and then an attention card for basically Wi-Fi calling and 911 service, which I doubt anybody actually uses, but we will stick those to the side as most people aren't going to be interested in those in a video. Alright, so the other things in it is your charging adapter that plugs into the wall, which is just like this. Nothing special. And then you also have the charging cable. It is USB-C, so it is modern. I've ran into a lot of phones that just still use micro SD, and I don't know why they bother doing that, but they do. But let's get this bad boy opened. .85 volt. Pretty typical. It's a 3000 milliamp battery. Take the promo sticker off the glass. Just insert. Pretty simple. You get your SIM card slot here, micro SD card slot here. Pretty easy to get to. The phone feels like it is well made and sturdy. However, the design of it is left to the imagination here, because nothing fantastic about it. It's just the typical cheap black casing. It's all smooth, slick, easily shows fingerprints. So I'm guessing most people either will get a case to make it look pretty, or will probably just say it's a cheap phone, don't care, and it'll end up getting a cracked screen at some point. Let's see if we have any battery charge. Looks like we do. I found on the other phone the initial setup process went a little slower when it was trying to get started, but once you're in the phone, it seems to be very responsive. So I'll try and show all that as we go. It's not overly heavy, but it doesn't feel super cheap like an Alcatel phone does. Most people know that the blue phones are typically rebranded phones. I'm not sure which phone this was rebranded from, if it was, but a lot of times they are, and then they end up putting stripped down versions of Android on them to make them more modern. But typical startup screen, start here. Says just a sec, wants to connect to the Wi-Fi. Let me get on one. Let's see, let's choose this one. Type in my password. Alright, so connected to my Wi-Fi, getting the phone ready. I do not have phone service for this, so I will not be hooking up Total Wireless and going through the activation process or anything. I will end up using this on my Wi-Fi for various beer money applications to earn income with. Now it's saying switching the carrier, please wait. That's because of the SIM card that was put in it. Getting your phone ready. This was a part that actually did take a little longer than some of the other phones I do, but maybe we'll get lucky with this one. Alright, so that took a few minutes to get to. Now it's wanting to copy apps and data. I'm going to say don't copy because I'm not copying anything over. Goes back to just a sec. Checking info. Pretty standard stuff. Now it wants to have a username and password. I'll get that entered in. Alright, so got my account logged in. Waiting for Google to do its thing. As you can see, you pretty much spend more time just waiting on the other services to do their thing than you do on the actual phone. Back to just a sec. Back to Google services. Yes, accept all this stuff. I don't want to set up a screen lock, so I'm going to skip it. Skip anyway. I don't know why I did that. Alright, Google Assistant. I don't use it, so skip. Skip. I don't want to add anything else, so no thanks. Getting the phone ready, and then it goes to the TracFone Wireless. They have a device pulse app that basically helps monitor your device network and all this stuff. I don't want them tracking me. If they want my stuff, they can pay me for it. So accept and continue. And finally, it starts getting us to the desktop. Up here, it's going to load basically the weather information that comes with the weather app. So I'll go ahead and go into here. There's not a whole lot of bloatware that's pre-installed. You can see you got your Facebook and you got the one weather up there. I believe the other one ended up installing another app or two after it was done. I want to say it was Pandora, and then maybe like a video game or two. Not sure why they pulled it, but it did. But I will show you some stuff here in the About device. Here it says Android 11. Not a whole lot of details in there. The device name is the model number, which is B131DL. It's just their coding for the BlueView 2. If you go into System here, you can do Advanced and then System Update. As you can see, this phone has a security update that it needs to download and install. This can run in the background while you're doing other things. So I will let that update, and I will show you the one that I've already set up. Alright, so this is after update. I installed CPU-Z so I could show you the hardware specs in it. It's got the quad core, 2 gigahertz. It's a Cortex A53 for anybody that's tech spec dependent. It's 2 gigahertz cores. Pretty straightforward. GPU is the PowerVR Rogue GE8300. So go into the device. You can see the manufacturer. Same thing. Screen resolution 720 by 1440. Says total RAM 2,862. That's 3 gigabyte of RAM. That's just how they do the numbers. But internal storage, it says it's 23, but it's actually 32 gig, and then they have 8 gig pretty much dedicated to the system itself. Standard stuff. Battery. So here's an ad. Alright, so thermal none, sensors. It's got the accelerometer, the proximity. Again, pretty standard stuff. So the FM radio app right here. I'm only showing it because people ask about it. I don't have headphones to plug it in right now with me, but it works. It's far as camera picture, I don't expect a whole lot out of a cheaper phone like this. Not even medium range phone, in my opinion. Doesn't seem to have a lot of blur when it's moving, but I guess that just depends on afterwards. It was a fast shutter. The quality doesn't seem too bad for what it is. So I would say it's probably a better camera than a lot of the other cheaper phones. Pretty straightforward. I would say it's, if you're the type of person who's going to be using the cheaper line of phones, I usually say low-end phones, because anything that's under $50 is usually considered a low-end phone. I would say it would be a good purchase for somebody who constantly uses those. I myself use a Pixel 6a, so the comparison between those is going to be night and day different. But for anybody who's looking for a cheap toss-away phone or to hand a kid or something, this would probably work just fine. It's a lot more responsive than phones that I have that are more expensive. Like, if I was to compare this to the Visible Midnight, or the Motorola G Pure that comes from Visible, this phone seems much more responsive than those. I would recommend this over them, and it's cheaper. But unfortunately, this phone is not going to work on Visible wireless, so obviously we're still comparing apples to oranges in that realm. But when it comes to a phone that's going to be sitting on Wi-Fi, definitely a good purchase compared to some of the other medium range phones out there. So that's about it. If you got any other questions, let me know. I will say that this does not have the 5 gigahertz Wi-Fi. I don't remember if I mentioned that already. That's a big no-go for some people. I personally don't think it's that big of a deal. Yeah, it's a decent little phone for what you got, and if you can get them for $15 like I did, it's a no-brainer. It's a good buy. So put your comments down below. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. Also hit that bell button so that you get notifications whenever I drop more content. And then until next time, have a good one.